Good morning. I know many of you are curious to know what happens in our novel Stella by Starlight. As both classes have left off on page 255, I'm going to start there and read you the rest of the book. Chapter 39, Willow Bark and Stink Bugs. Mama never missed church, but for the first time in years, she decided she would stay home with Jojo. Remember, Jojo was sick. Despite her dosing him with the cherry pectoral every few hours and rubbing his chest with camphor oil, he had still hacked most of the night, sometimes having trouble catching his breath. I'm going out in the woods to fetch some elderberries and mint to make some tea for this boy. Maybe a bit of willow bark, too, Mama called to Stella as she pulled on a floppy hat. You want to come with me? Jojo will nap for another hour or so. Oh, yes, Mama, Stella replied right away. Papa had gone on to church, and she relished the alone time with her mother. She grabbed a jacket. The weather was sharp and biting. Dusty, who was usually the first thing to whip out the door, simply lifted his head, then rested it once more on his paws. Since yesterday, he had left Jojo's side only long enough to eat or run out to relieve himself. I'll make some extra tea for Tony and take it to his mama, Stella's mother told her as she pushed their way through some brambles. Willow is good for pain and swelling, and the elderberry will halt any infection. I keep a little bit of elderberry at the ready. You send in healing stuff, even though his father is a doctor? Stella asked, curious. Can't hurt. Might help, her mother replied. People be finding and using healing herbs since forever. Stella grabbed her mother's hand as they climbed over a log on the path. She kept trying to block out the memory of boots coming down on her friend's body. Then she remembered the silly leaf bouquet Tony had offered to her when she wished she hadn't tossed it away. Tony's inside wounds are the ones that will be harder to heal, Mama was saying. All the salve in the world couldn't cure what gets broken in somebody's soul. She gave Stella's hand a squeeze. A cardinal with a fluffy of wings emerged from a nearby elm tree, flying. Zalika, in the story, flew, Stella remembered. She wished Tony had had that same memory. You know who else was at the store yesterday, Mama? Who? Her mother stooped down to a snap off of a dark green leaf. She sniffed it, nodded, and held it out to show Stella before tucking it into her apron pocket. Arnica, she told Stella. Makes for a good salve for wounds, but not for tea. It'll hurt you if you eat it. I saw Paulette Packard. Looked as if she was in the store spending her daddy's money. Mama said, brushing aside some larger plants to get a wispier-looking one. Mint. I'm mighty scared of her daddy, Stella admitted. So are we, child. Stella stooped down to find some more mint. They were lucky to find it so late in the season. You think white folks like that like to talk bad about colored people while they're eating supper? I imagine they pay us no mind at all, Stella. I don't think we are important enough to be at the dinner conversation with them. Do you think Paulette saw what happened to Tony? Stella sniffed at a leaf. Except for mint, she had no idea what she was looking for. But she wanted to show her mother that she was trying. It doesn't really matter, Stella. Even if she had seen it, that girl didn't have much power over anything that could have happened. Just like you right then. I wonder if Paulette is going to grow up to be mean like her father. Stella mused. Or if people like Max Smitherman and Johnny Ray Johnson are going to have children who hate us because their daddies do. When you think too much, her mother replied wryly, and you can't blame the child for the father's sins. They headed over closer to Kilkenny Pond in the woods behind it. Oh, look, Mama, Stella said, pointing. Figs! She hurried over to the fruit-laden tree, which had grown full golden close to the pond. Didn't we pick figs already back in June? Stella happily gathered a couple of soft ones that had fallen to the ground. She loved Mama's fig preserves. Fig trees give twice a year, her mother explained, showing her a full branch. Here, twist the fruit just a little. Push it up toward the stem. And there you be. The honey brown fruit popped easily from the low-hanging branch. Pie tonight? Stella asked hopefully. Next week for sure, her mother told her. She knelt close to Stella, then called out happily, "Oh wee! Look what I found! Elderberries!" These are surely the last of the season. As her mother plucked the purple berries, Stella coaxed a half-dozen more figs from the tree and placed them carefully into Mama's basket. Then she jumped backward, shaking her hands. "Ew!" she cried. A half-dozen flat brown bugs, prehistoric-looking bugs, went flying. "Stink bugs!" "Mind you, don't squash any," Mama warned. "You'll be washing your hands for a fortnight." "I stepped on a mess of them a couple weeks ago. They stunk like a skunk," Stella admitted. "So, that's what that smell was stinking at my house," Mama said, snickering. "Maybe when you be typing out that machine of yours, you can write about that." Stella reached up for a few more figs. I typed something last night." "I heard you clicking down on that table there, girl," her mother replied as she sorted the elderberries in her basket. "How's that going?" "I had no idea how hard it would be. It takes me a real long time and I mess up a lot. But it makes me feel mighty fine to see it all typed up, even with all of my mistakes." "You keep it, honey girl, you just keep at it." "Thanks, Mama." Stella plucked up one more dark purple berry from the basket and lobbed it into her mouth. "Have mercy," she cried, spitting and spitting and spitting. "My mouth is going to die. They're awful." Mama laughed out loud. "Elderberries make good wine, good jelly, and good medicine. But only the bears eat 'em off the vine. I bet you'll never forget that." Stella spat again. "Puh, for sure." "Let's start heading back," Mama said, still chuckling. "But first, I want to grab a bit of willow bark." She wandered over to the tree with a deep, bowing branch. "Make sure the twigs are alive. Dark, dead bark like these on the ground won't work." "How can you tell?" Stella asked, still sucking and smacking her tongue to get the bad taste out. "If the twigs are bendy and the insides are green and wet, we've got what we need. Green and bendy." Stella mumbled, shaking her head, pulling at the branches, twisting them this way and that, peeling them away at the bark. She tossed some of the thin shreds of the bark into the basket, hoping she'd chosen correctly. "Be mindful of snakes sleeping in that dead wood, Stella," Mama warned. "Most of them just want to be left alone and won't give you any time of day. But step on one and you'll know real quick what time it is, that's for sure." Stella did a quick dancing sidestep, looking down to check her bare toes. "Oh, Lordy, Mama, let's go home." "Good idea. We've got everything we need, plus a figgy bonus. Now, we just need to boil the willow and the mint for 20 minutes or so. Then let the tea sit a while." "We gonna put elderberries in it?" Stella asked dubiously. "No, those need to dry first. I'll be using those for the winter." "How do you know all this?" Stella asked, poking at the gathered bits of the basket. Mama shrugged. "My mama taught me, and I'm teaching you. You will teach your daughter. Now, let's go check on JoJo."